A rather unusual change on the roadmap. Microsoft discuss a few bugs, and then there's World Update Columbia. A whole bunch of things going on in Microsoft Flight Simulator this week. So the first thing I want to point out here is a bit of a change on the roadmap. You may remember that in my previous video, I mentioned that Microsoft had listed somewhat of a surprise for the end of November. You can see that on the roadmap right here. This is the roadmap dated the 22nd of September. Now, this seems to have gone and completely disappeared on the latest roadmap, October the 6th. You can see there's no longer that TBA update listed in green, so whether Microsoft have completely changed their minds now or it's been delayed into next year, or alternatively shouldn't have been there to begin with, we perhaps will never know. Either way, this is definitely something that's worth keeping an eye on, just in case it makes a reappearance. Another thing worth mentioning there, a brand new roadmap is coming at the end of November that will detail the releases from January 2023 through to March. Now, elsewhere in the development update on the feedback snapshot, in fact, there's always been requests for various different world updates. Now, these are never actual physical announcements of an update, but they are listed as an intention to work towards that particular direction. In a previous feedback snapshot, Microsoft have confirmed that they're planning a world update for Brazil. We know that they have discussed in past Q&As that they're going to work on the Southern Hemisphere, something that is much needed, and I know a lot of people really do hope for those style of world updates. Well, interestingly, the latest feedback snapshot shows that Microsoft have planned a world update for Columbia. Now, it's not clear what the asterisk means there, as it doesn't seem to be a reference to anything, so for now, as with everything else on these feedback snapshots, we'll have to take it as a potential maybe. So, between Colombia and Brazil, that makes for a pretty big chunk of Southern America. Unfortunately, there's no release date or release indication of even a window for these particular updates, but it seems quite likely, at least to me, that these will probably come sometime next year. Either way, they're certainly not going to be arriving this year. But moving the focus towards the Southern Hemisphere for 2023 or perhaps 2024 would be a nice move indeed. Pretty much all the current 10 world updates, or 11 at this point, have been almost entirely focused on the Northern Hemisphere, with perhaps the exception of the Australia world update. So yeah, a move of focus to the Southern Hemisphere would be a nice touch. Now, looking at the bugs, there have been a few of these, well, quite a few in fact, there always is, but 2 or 3 particularly stood out to me. One of them is a mention of some people not being able to use the NVIDIA DLSS option. It's simply not present for them. Now, you can see in the footage on screen right here, this is how you access that option, straight through the graphics menu and under the anti-aliasing option here. It's a location that some people don't expect to find it, so may not be looking for it to find it here. Also, of course, you won't have this option if you don't have a compatible NVIDIA card. But for all those people who are expecting to see the option and can't find it, Microsoft have said that they are investigating this and trying to figure out what's going on. Another bug that's mentioned on the feedback snapshot for bugs is the need and the requirement to insert the Microsoft Flight Simulator disc if you've got the physical copy version of the sim. Now, this is something I've seen people mention elsewhere, not just on the forums. It don't seem to be a particularly widespread issue, but then again, not a huge amount of people may have the physical version to start with anyway. So again, this is something that Microsoft are investigating. Hopefully a fix for this one will appear pretty soon. Now, elsewhere in tangentially related news, not directly related to Microsoft Flight Simulator, but kinda, Facebook, Meta, announced the release or the pre-order of a brand new headset, VR headset, the Meta Quest Pro. Now, this is very highly priced. It's priced at around £1,500, yes, but it does have a lot of features that are not available in many other headsets. It's also got a very slimline design. But what does this have to do with the Microsoft Flight Simulator? Well, aside from being able to use the VR headset with the Flight Simulator, there was another announcement to coincide with the pre-order of the Meta Quest Pro, and this second announcement comes from Microsoft. They're going to be including the ability to use Microsoft Cloud Gaming in with the Meta Quest. So So that means as soon as this service is available, it will be possible to use Microsoft Flight Simulator from directly within the Meta Quest from using the Microsoft Cloud Gaming option. Now obviously this won't be the full VR experience, it will be an in-headset gaming experience, somewhat akin to playing on a big virtual reality cinema screen. So that screen will be 2D, it won't be a full VR experience, but it is an additional option to get in there and play these Xbox Cloud games, including Microsoft Flight Simulator. What's more, you won't be limited to using just the Meta Quest controllers or the Oculus controllers, you'll also be able to bind an Xbox controller to the headset. The service will be coming to the Quest 2, and as yet there's no release date. It's definitely an interesting move by Microsoft, and it's interesting as well to see just how far they keep expanding the Xbox service away from the Xbox consoles. It will also put the use of Microsoft Flight Simulator in front of an entirely new audience. So that brings us to an end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.